Hey everybody, Tom here with Hidden Beats, and today we are talking with Shane Ghostkeeper. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
First question I have is your name. Where does Ghostkeeper come from?
Well, it's a fairly new name, generationally speaking, obviously, because it's an English word, but it was a loose translation, I guess, I suppose, by the Catholic missionaries for medicine men. There's a lineage
Okay.
of medicine men in my family, and it just involves communicating or ceremonies involving the other spirits
Okay.
among us.
For those who are new to your music, do you want to give maybe a little introduction about yourself and your background?
Yeah, well, I guess my main project is Ghostkeeper. We just released a record in May, end of May. Multi-dimensional culture. It's out there on radios right now, and it's like experimental pop, rock and roll, in the vein of our inspirations like the Flaming Lips and the Beatles and the Fiery Furnaces. So that kind of a vibe. But this particular song that I got the runner-up for is from my new solo project, which is an exploration of the classic country that I grew up on, as a means to, honor my family and my grandparents and all the folks that have been waiting for me to put out some more traditional sounding music.
And that leads me into what is your background?
You mean culturally?
Yeah, culturally back. Sorry,
Yeah, Métis, Cree,
AT.
Cree
Okay.
Métis. Um, a lot of French on my mom's side, the Lamberts, and I guess my French original name on the Ghostkeeper side are the Richards. So yeah, French and Cree. I'm from northern Alberta, Paddle Prairie Métis settlement. It's like a 12-hour drive north of Calgary.
Okay. I was actually born in Alberta myself in Wainwright.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And I'm Tuscarora, part of the Six Nations and Mohawk area. I really wish I knew more about my cultural background, but I don't. And something I'm trying to get into more myself.
Right on.
hmm So growing up, you're talking about listening to country music and things like that. What were your inspirations?
Well, I spent so much time with my grandpa, and a lot of the stories and songs in this project are of him and my grandma. I was taken under his wing. He had a lot of pride in being a part of my life, and I'd spend, with my little sister, multiple weekends out of the year, weeks during the summer months, and we were steeped in country music. His favorite was Hank Williams, Johnny Cash, Johnny Horton, a lot of just fiddle, straight up Métis fiddle music. And it was always on. It was always on the cassettes in the farmhouse and in the vehicles driving to and from the farm back to town again. And yeah, and even beyond that, my greater family up north is country music is number one, and that's what you hear at all the dances, at all the weddings, and it's yeah, a huge part of my life.
And with your cultural background, how are you trying to weave things together, or how are you navigating that space, trying to work in music now with your culture added in there?
Yeah, well, I guess lyrically, it's always been a great platform for me to, you know, glorify and romanticize my modern Métis life that I've been privileged to grow up with, including listening to my not only country music, but my other grandpa sitting on the front porch with his hand drum singing traditional Cree songs and round dance songs and powwow, passages. And also being lucky enough to have the spiritual side, attending some ceremonies since my teen years. And that always seems to seep into how I approach my lyrics and, the concepts and basically going towards this idea of we are here existing beautifully with strong families, strong values now. It's not just only a story of victimization, which is, very important to discuss for sure. But I also like to, share the beauty in it all and the resilience and the strength in our family bonds and ties and lessons.
And one of the primary points that's kind of universal is storytelling with music, and just storytelling in general. So how are you telling stories? Like what are you trying to portray in your music story wise?
Like I said, sharing this modern Métis experience, giving people some insight on what a modern Métis man has lived as a child, all the way up through my teen years into now. Now I'm a dad, and the song that we just got awarded for is called "One More Name," and it was a proposal song to my now fiance Sarah, who is also a Métis from the same settlement. And just giving people some insight, an inside look on modern Métis culture and how beautiful it can be, or it is.
Now it's a lovely story about that song too. I got to listen to it beforehand, and I was taken by the lyrics and everything too. So what was your process in coming up with that song? Was there like a thought you really wanted to dedicate that to your now fiance, or?
Definitely. I think getting engaged has been a long time coming, especially for Sarah and our families who have been patiently waiting for a celebration and a wedding. And it's kind of been my own personal spiritual conundrum, I suppose. And I make allusions to it in the song, saying thanks for your patience as I find my peace with the idea that, maybe marriage is a colonial oppressive thing and a legality thing with the government. So I've always been hesitant to include that sort of institution in something that is so true and cherished to me, which is my love for Sarah. And the thing we got going on is very special. And I wasn't sure how to meld the both together. And then, eventually it's just, with talking with Sarah, we both decided that, now that we've survived each other in our young years, in our 20s, and have built this art career together, and now we have 2 boys, and now it's just now become a matter of celebrating an achievement as a couple, our romantic achievement. And it made a lot of sense. And then so it took me a couple of years to start with guitar composition that I felt was fun and also engaging and entertaining, because Sarah is a huge music fan, an art fan, and I really wanted to try to impress her. So I came up with intricate picking stuff the best I could. I spent about a year on that, coming up with vocal melodies as I practiced. And then the words kind of just came easier, describing the situation and asking for her hand in marriage.
And that story actually, like with listening to the music too, that kind of resonated with me a little bit. I'm coming up to my 1st year anniversary of being married.
Nice.
And it took me a long time to get to the point of mentally being able to pop the question, so to speak, and kind of get there. So that's when I heard that, and I kind of listened to it and I learned a bit of the background. I was like, wow, this kind of resonates a little bit more with me.
Nice.
So this song is the song that you got in with the runner-up. How did you get involved with the SOCAN and the Indigenous Songwriters program?
Well, I guess since our career began, we released our first record in 2010. And so we've always had a lot of support from the Indigenous community, or industry, musically speaking. And so, yeah, we've always just been informed of these opportunities. And yeah, I think we got an email, I think, asking to participate, to submit.
Okay. I'm always curious. So we've done some things with SOCAN in the past, that with Hidden Beats, and we've talked about different programs and stuff, but I've always been curious how people kind of find out about those programs and decide to apply for them and things like that.
Yeah, well, we're SOCAN members too, so I think we're always getting the member the member emails, keeping us up to date on what's going on. And same as Alberta Music, which is an organization here that is always keeping its members posted on various granting opportunities and contests and that sort of thing.
No, that's good. So what does being in a runner-up in this program, like what does that do for you and your music career now?
Well, I think it's, it's exposed the song and to a lot of people, to a big audience, which I'm grateful for. So we're getting a lot of, more visits on our streaming platforms, our Bandcamp, and making some sales. I think it's been huge so far. Just in this past, it's been like a month since info was released. I'm not sure.
Around that, yeah.
Yeah. Regardless, there's been some excitement about this project in particular, and it carries over into the other project as well. And yeah, I'm grateful for that. And it's also nice to feel recognized. It's encouraging and exciting to be recognized by peers and industry at an industry standard.
Mm-hmm. What is your opinion on the music industry now? We've gone through kind of some crazy times with COVID and things happening. So what's your thoughts on how things are?
Well, I'm very excited to be playing in front of people again, being on a stage, playing in front of a live audience, as opposed to the, handful of Zoom concerts that I that I did during the pandemic. I mean, I was grateful to be able to still make a bit of money and getting some nice gigs, but it was pretty tough playing to a cell phone. So I'm excited. I'm really excited that things are rolling again.
There's been a lot. Like I just got done. So I'm based out of Ottawa, and we just had our major festival, first time in 3 years and 10 days of straight music. And it was almost like a shock to the system again, getting all that stuff back. And
Totally.
I ended up catching COVID on like the last day, just because there was a huge amount of people, and
right.
It was crazy. And I'm preparing for another festival in 2 weeks now. So there's lots of stuff going on for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have like plans for upcoming tours, things like that? Or are you still trying to work around what's going on in your area?
Yeah, well, we just did a handful of shows for the record release, but we're planning on a tour out east, like basically flying to Toronto, a few dates in the surrounding area, and then on the way to Montreal for like a week in the fall, maybe late October, early November kind of thing, which is exciting. It's always such a great audience out east for us. And at the moment, still just working on the solo record and getting that wrapped up, and a couple of other projects.
Okay. Nice. That'll be fun. And I have actually some of my teams in different spots around Canada. So if we get a chance to catch your show in Toronto, I'll try to make sure someone gets out there for sure.
Nice. Right on.
Mm-hmm. So I have a couple fun questions that kind of gives me a little insight of who you are and how your mind works a little bit. And it's always good for, new people to learn more about you. So first one is, what's something on your go-to playlist that people wouldn't expect that you listen to?
Lately, North African music, Western music, Les Filles d'Eli Gadad.
Okay.
Like an all female singing group, which they rip on guitars as well, percussions. That's been something I've been like listening to over and over again to study the melodies and the vocal harmonies. Exciting stuff. What else have I been checking out? Mikachu is always something that I go back to for experimental pop ideas. Great, brilliant stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And some local stuff. I'd say Ryan Bourne. He's our bass player and collaborator. His new record is really exciting. He's got a couple singles out. It's not, the full length isn't released yet. Clea Ane, another local pop act, just amazing, super tight, super skilled, great melodies, great singing, great instrumentation, and some experimentation as well. It's very exciting.
Nice. I'll check out a few of those. I've heard of a couple of them, but I'll check out the other ones for sure. I always like new music and trying to find new people out there.
Right on.
Since Alberta has such a kind of big and vast country community, is there any art like up and coming country artists out there that you're really vibing with and you like what they're doing?
Um, I suppose for a straight up country, the most exciting thing lately, like close to home, is Coulter Wall. Obviously, I think he's, getting a lot of highly deserved recognition and attention, and it's very inspiring to see that level of commitment to guitar playing and singing. It's like it's already almost an instant classic for me, and I go back to his records all the time for country and influence and inspiration.
Okay, nice. Next question I have is a little bit more interesting. It's what's one thing that you think should be asked more in interviews that's not asked enough?
I always end up feeling bad that I couldn't talk more about who was also involved in the recordings. In particular, Laurie Matheson for this song, as well as our new record, and the magic that he puts into engineering and mixing. It's such a huge part of the process, especially in creating, an entertaining record. So yeah, the producer, the mixer, the mixing engineer. I rarely ever get asked who was involved in that regard.
Yeah, I miss those sometimes too, because it's hard to come up with. I'm not a researcher by any means, so trying to figure out a nice set of questions to ask is always hard for me. But those ones are nice because it's nice there's a lot going on behind the scenes, basically, when you're making a song. So it's good to shout those people out too.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. Next one I have for you is kind of a two-parter. What is one piece of advice that you were given coming up in music that you held on to, like that really held tight to how you grew in music?
Well, I could share a funny story, which was
Okay.
monumental. And I spent like all my entire high school years in sports. And once high school was over, I was 18, 19. That's when I really got into music and getting into, considered fantasizing about being a musician for a career. And so I went to my musician uncles on my mom's side. My uncle Manley and my uncle Monty were both, respected musicians as country cover bands, doing dances, and they were pretty slick. So I went to each in succession asking for lessons on how to play guitar, how to make music. And after a couple of hours sitting down with both, they eventually told me that I was tone deaf and that I had no hope in music.
Okay.
and I thought that was funny, and it like hit me profoundly, where I was like, okay, you're right. I believe you. This does seem impossible to me, and music does seem like a miracle. And that's really how I felt about music at that point. It was like miraculous. And I think it was because of language, like from my uncles, and language from my dad, who really wanted me to be an athlete. Like I was always hearing stuff like, oh, music is a special gift that some people have and some people don't. It was never anything. There was no language saying that I can work my ass off at it and get somewhere. So those words completely inspired me, because I'm a complete rebellious, stubborn kind of a guy. So I was like, okay, you think I'm tone deaf? You think this is hopeless? I'm just going to go straight to making my own music. I'm not going to bother learning anyone else's music. So I kind of skipped the whole process of researching and learning genres and learning scales and learning chords. I just went straight to coming up with guitar compositions, whichever way my guitar was tuned at the time. And I would do my best to memorize those particular ones that I liked. And then just started coming up with my own vocal ways and ideas and lyrics from there. So I'm forever grateful for the advice that I got from my uncles, saying that I was hopeless to learn music.
I'm very much the same way as you, where you can't tell me I can't do something. It
Right.
doesn't work well.
Totally.
So on the second note to that, with everything that you've learned in your career so far, what is some advice that you would give to up and coming artists, especially Indigenous artists that are trying to make it in the music industry right now?
Yeah, well, in that regard that I just spoke of, I would always, hope and encourage aspiring musicians and artists to find their own way, and because that's a special thing that the world deserves to see. Some insight without too much oppressive influence in regards to someone who is studying music professionally or being schooled at an institutional level. I suppose that I would love to encourage all the young up and comers to disregard the institution and dig deep, and they will find a way, and it'll be unique and very interesting.
And I think COVID actually helped a lot with that, because there were
Right.
so many opportunities for people to try new things and genre bend and things like that. And it just made music that much more interesting.
Right. Totally. You're right.
So last one I have for you is kind of a deeper one, is why do you keep doing what you're doing? Why music?
Well, I suppose music has become my spiritual haven. I need to write. I need to, reconcile my surroundings with my own inner peace, and I need to give thanks. And songwriting is good for that. I need to be grateful, and I need to release, my anger about certain issues. And instead of, turning to violence or anger, I turn inward and write songs. And it's become my spirituality, my church. And it's also now a great environment for my sons to witness and to be a part of. My 10-year-old is already working on his own songs, and it's obviously a way for him to do the same. He's seeing how it's helping him to figure out his own opinions and where he sits in issues and his environment and that sort of thing. So it's totally a spiritual thing.
If you could leave any final tidbits of wisdom or just final notes to people who will watch this, what would you say to them?
That just go for it. Give it a shot. I grew up with being extremely shy as a child, all the way up until high school was done. So this seems like an extreme, opposite path for someone who's being so shy to go, but it's just a proof that you can work your ass off and learn anything you want to learn in the name of excitement, in the name of curiosity, in the name of trying to build something interesting for yourself and for your partner if you have a partner. So I would just say, just go for it. It'll be fun regardless.
Awesome. Where can people find you on social media?
Instagram at Ghostkeeper Music. That's our most up to date one, I suppose. Okay. And we're on Bandcamp if you want to support and purchase the songs.
All right, we'll make sure to link both of those and try to send a few more people your way and get a little bit more recognition for what you do.
Right on. Appreciate it.
That's all I have for you right now. I mean, I thought it was nice casual conversation, and
totally
try to get to learn a little bit more about you. And congratulations, obviously, on becoming the runner-up for the program there. That's a huge accomplishment, really.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for having me. It's fun.
Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and maybe we'll get to have another conversation at some point.
Totally. And I'd like to check out your project. What's the name of it?
So Hidden Beats is the company name. It's where we digital media company, but we focus on music. So we cover live events and things like that. I'm actually a photographer, so cool. I get out and shoot all these things, but my during COVID is when these interviews started happening, because obviously there was nothing else to do. So it gave me an opportunity to shine a light on musicians that might not necessarily have as much light shone on them at the time.
Mhm. Nice, right on. Well, congrats.
Thank
Sounds
you. I
like a great
appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll
It's-
check it out and we'll make a follow. You on Instagram?
Yeah, everything Hidden Beats. So it's pretty easy to find.
Okay, great.
All
Right
right. You enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks a lot. You too. Take care.
Okay, bye.